What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 59 of the Flip Screen Games Podcast, a weekly video game podcast where two best buds from different nations come together to discuss the wide world of video games. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Stephen Radford.
Hello.
Hello, Steve. Long time no see. We're back. Not even a full 24 hours since we recorded the last episode, and we're back again.
Yeah. I was going to say, it feels like only yesterday I spoke to you about video games, and we're back again to talk about video games.
Yeah, and crazy enough, there's so much still, right? Like, it speaks to what a truly jam-packed couple weeks it's been for news. On today's, I was going to say this week's episode, but technically we just had one yesterday, right? So today's episode, what we're going to talk about is some of the kind of odds and ends that have erupted in the last couple days as TGS was coming to a close. Of course, we got a tease at Kojima's next project. We got the announcement earlier today, or not even an announcement, I should say, the rumor that Sony is apparently looking to launch a new PlayStation 5 with a detachable disc drive. And then in our main topic today, we're going to talk all about the leaks that hit both Grand Theft Auto 6 and Diablo 4, mostly GTA, let's be real. That's the main event here, but we're excited about Diablo 4 as well. So we will also talk about that. But it's a jam-packed one. So we've got a lot to get into, and I don't want to miss a thing of it. So thank you again for tuning in to the Flip Screen Games Podcast. Let me remind you that this week's episode is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of September. They are, of course, Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valenz, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, a.k.a. Asobi, Mary Berry, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. Y'all are the realest of the real, and we appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows here at Flip Screen Games. If you want to go and show your support just like they did, head over to the Patreon where you can get all kinds of perks and goodies, including early access to this show, including access to our exclusive podcast, One More Thing, and a bunch of other good stuff. Of course, it is the best way to go above and beyond if you want to show your support. But if you don't have any money for us, of course, that is no problem. Head over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you will find links in all the ways that you can get involved, like our Discord, our Twitch channel, our second YouTube channel where you can watch archives of our Twitch channel, all kinds of good stuff. Wherever you choose to find us, however you choose to get involved, we thank you for tuning in to today's show. So, let's get right into it, Steve. Again, another week where we don't have time for a start screen. It's devastating to me too, I know. But, of course, we must press on. We must press on. So, let's start with Kojima, right? Of course, Hideo Kojima, one of the realest motherfuckers in the game, right? Of course, one of the true auteurs in video games, I think most people would agree. On his website, Kojima Productions, they dropped a tease for his next project, which of course we know is his collaboration with the folks over at Xbox. I
actually don't think that's what this is.
You don't think that's what this is?
No.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
A different game.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Well, I'm happy to hear your speculation here. But essentially, the image is a photo of what looks like a young blonde woman. Her face is completely obscured by shadow. Kind of looks like it may have even been like edited down to be like smoothed out, but like you can see her features basically, but not her face. And here I'll pull this up for the folks over on YouTube. And it just says, "Who am I?" And the Kojima Productions logo is at the bottom, but there's also a different small icon, I guess.
Which to me looks like a bridge, and it looks like a Death Stranding bridge.
Yeah,
so
or like a
really
gate of some kind, maybe.
It could be a gate, but I feel like the gates would open. It looks like the gates would open in. This definitely looks like they're opening up,
like a drawbridge.
I really think it's Death Stranding Part 2.
You think?
Or Death Stranding 2. Yeah, I really do think so.
I find that to be interesting. The other thing is, many folks on the internet are of the opinion that they believe this is Elle Fanning.
Which, if you Google her, it very much does look like her outline.
Does it? Let's find out. I don't really like. I know who Elle Fanning is, but
She was also another reason, like another conspiracy theory as to why it maybe is Death Stranding is she was in the movie Oh, she's well known for it being in the movie I Am Sam, and obviously Sam is a character in Death Stranding.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So here's a picture of Elle Fanning. Everybody, what do we think? Is this Elle? It could be.
It's that same shaped face, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I see. I see that. I feel like. I feel like this woman in the Hideo image. I feel like her chin looks like it comes to more of a point. Elle's got a little bit more of like a bit of a rounder
Got like the
face.
Kirsten Dunst chin, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I could see it. If this ended up being her, I wouldn't be surprised. But
It
yeah,
looks like she's wearing like a bow tie or something in the picture as well.
yeah, she
She has
has.
something around her neck.
Yeah, there, and like on the back of her neck, there's like a piece of fabric coming off, so it looks like maybe she has some kind of like a collared, top or something like that, or it's. I'm not quite sure what to make of it, but as you say in the front, it looks like there's also a bit of hanging cloth. So I'm wondering if it's like, like you see it in a lot of like old fashioned women's clothes where there's like a collar and it buttons like on the side. It almost looks like something like that, but I'm not sure. The Death Stranding pull is an interesting one because I think my primary reason for like kind of not even being skeptical, right? But like I immediately made the assumption, yes, this must be a tease for his Xbox game because like how big is the Kojima Productions team? Do they have
I have
multiple
genuinely
teams?
no idea, but I'm sure they already had a game in production with Sony, right? Wasn't that the rumor? And then they announced one that was coming. Like, there's that abandoned game that was allegedly exclusive for PS5, and it got leaked.
It says they have 80 employees as of 2019, according to Wikipedia. So I wouldn't take that to the bank, but huh. Interesting. I don't know. I really don't know. So if you're looking at right now as it says they have, okay, you know what, Steve? You're onto something here maybe. It says right now the 2 games they have in development are Untitled Xbox Studios game and then Untitled Death Stranding sequel.
Yeah, I really think it's Death Stranding 2 then, if it's related to that. There's also this theory from someone on Twitter that it's maybe Natalie Portman, because you can have a look in the like Kojima picture. I've sent it to you on Twitter if you want to pull it up.
Yeah.
There's like in the Kojima picture, you can see there's like this blemish on the side of her face that's around the same place that Natalie Portman has a mole or a beauty spot on her face.
You think it's
So
Natalie?
potentially it's her.
We think it's Natalie? Oh my God, Steve. Wow. Okay. Maybe so. All right. I'm going to pull this up for the kids right now.
It's quite possible. Anyway, in any case, it's interesting. I love the fact that he can just post this picture. There was a poster at TGS that had a QR code and then went on around the internet, and everyone's excited about it.
Ooh, you know what? I kind of think it is Natalie Portman.
It does look like Natalie Portman, doesn't it?
Now that the face shape, yeah, like the chin, it's got the point more like what I was saying. Damn. Also, just like looking at this version where they like are dimming it a little bit, it makes her hair look lighter, and I'm like, oh, so maybe she's not blonde. Maybe it's just a brunette, and like,
It could be because you got the big blowout of the lights from behind her.
Like that's really what's casting the light, right? That's interesting. Just to give a little extra context here about the sequel. The sequel was originally revealed in May 2022. Norman Reedus was doing an interview with Leo Edit, and he claimed that they had just started work on the second one, and then he said that they had talked about how the game was a big success, and then they just started on part 2 of that, and then Hideo Kojima put out pictures of him like punishing Norman Reedus for leaking the game, which I thought was funny. So I think you're probably right, honestly. The more we talk about it, the more that makes sense to me based on what we've seen. So
I think that's probably the case. Whether it's exclusive to PlayStation, I would imagine it is. And then I think the other project we don't know about it, but we've heard rumors of. There was a logo that leaked, was not abandoned, which is what I thought it was called. It's called Overdose, and we had that like logo for the game Overdose. So I wonder if it could be related to that. Maybe this isn't Death Stranding. It could be that horror game, and he's like imminently ready to announce it. I think he's got a lot of stuff going on, and it's really interesting. It's cool that he's just able to work on whatever project he wants.
So real quick, it looks like Sony owns the Death Stranding IP, so they would have.
So
to
then
be
it would be,
yeah. I found that confirmation from one Jeff Grubb as well. Because like even on the PC version, like they have all the information about how 505 Games published the PC version, but it's still owned by Sony Interactive.
I feel like looking at the Overdose leak, that it could be it could be that. Looking at the person, it could well be that.
Very interesting. Well, either way, I think, obviously now that we have a bit of a tease like from, the man himself, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear more about, the game sooner than later. So yeah, eyes up, right? If you're a Death Stranding fan, if you're a Kojima fan, definitely keep your eyes peeled for that one.
Have you ever played that game? Like it's on my list of games to check out at some point, because my dad really likes it. He keeps telling me I just need to try it.
Yeah, I never got around to it. I didn't have a ton of interest in it, if I'm honest. Like, I think the initial... It's kind of a multifaceted thing for me. I feel like I am too young to... And not exclusively. There's plenty of people my age or younger that fuck with Metal Gear heavy, but I feel like I kind of missed the Metal Gear wave. Because, like, when Metal Gear 1, 2, and 3 came out, I was very young. Even, like, the PS2 era games, like, I was only probably, like, 9 or 10 years old when they were coming out, right? So like by the time Metal Gear was like age appropriate for me, they were already very old games, and I never really felt a major pull to like check that box for myself. And by the time that I did, it's like these games are very, very old, and it's like, do I want to go across like, am I going to go all the way back to pre-Metal Gear Solid to understand the whole story? Like, no. So it's like, do I just play MGS? Like, and I've never ever taken that plunge. So like, as a result, I don't really have any relationship to Kojima as a creator aside from the fact that I respect the guy, right? Like,
you never played any Silent Hill? Well, that's a stupid question. Of course you didn't play any Silent Hill. It's a scary game.
I have played it. Right? Like, I have vivid memories of, like, playing Silent Hill when it was contemporary, like, at a sleepover at a friend's house and, like, passing the controller around. But it's like, that to me is, like, one of thousands of games that I've experienced that way, right? Where, like, I didn't really play it myself. I just kind of played it with somebody and, I got a taste of it. I never finished it, like, I've seen the movie Silent Hill more than I've played the game, So
yeah, I mean, I think he was only involved in that cancelled project, right? PT, that then just never happened because the whole Konami.
And I never played PT or anything like that either. So it's like, I obviously am familiar with Kojima's work. I respect, his contributions to the game and everything, and but he's not a creator that I have that connection to myself. And then when Death Stranding got announced, it was kind of like, oh shit, like, there was that huge drama between him and Konami breaking up, and then he takes his studio and he goes independent. And like, I was very much like, cool, like, let's do it. Like, maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the one I start with. And they just showed that game way too much, man. Like, I had seen like 40, 60 minutes of that game before it came out, and I had no idea what it was about. And then they're showing the gameplay, and I was like, I don't know, dude. This doesn't seem to be it for me, And like,
And I felt like that about Days Gone. We had that conversation, but Days Gone turned out to be a great game as well. And I feel like too many people just passed it up because it was like, oh, it's another zombie game. I'll just wait for The Last of Us Part 2. I don't know. I feel like maybe that's on us, but maybe that's also partly on how Sony present the games.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, if it was my full-time job to be a commentator and whatever, then yeah, I would have played it and rendered an opinion on it. But when it's like, I have a limited gaming budget, I've seen this game for years, and it's never really piqued my interest, and then it comes out, and it has
on PlayStation Plus, though? No?
It might be now, yeah. And in which case, I'd be happy to give it a shot, but like, I think it's just been one of those things where like I was never super interested in it. Then it came out, and it was very much like some people love it, some people don't, and I just was like, I don't know. Do I need this to jump into this one? I don't know. So I never took the plunge. I'd like to fill the gap, especially now that there's like the deluxe director's cut PS5 edition, all that shit. Maybe one of these days.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. 85 out of 100, but then there's some outlets just really do not like it. Like Giant Bomb gave it 2, IGN gave it 6 out of 10. So it's like some people just, some people really, really dug it. Like Famitsu gave it 40 out of 40.
Which is very rare, right? Like they almost never give perfect scores. That's one of the few they've ever given. So clearly a divisive game, right? But like I think my whole thing was like not knowing if it was for me. I didn't want to take a $60 gamble on it, and I've never felt the pull to go try it since then. So maybe a sequel's the way to go, right? Like maybe that'll kind of encourage me to give it a shot in the way that Ragnarok coming out, you're kind of like, oh yeah, maybe I should finally get around to 2018. I really am.
Yeah, I need to find some time. Yeah.
So I think it's a similar kind of thing where like maybe they can still get me. I'd love to get it, right? I'd love to give it a shot and love it and be one of those people that is into it, but I just don't know. I don't know if it's for me. All right, so jumping into our next story, we're going to keep the PlayStation conversation going. Insider Gaming had a little story that dropped earlier today, actually, as of recording, the 19th, where they got a scoop where they're saying that Sony is planning to launch a new PlayStation 5 with a detachable disc drive, which is pretty interesting. I am going to just read a little bit from their article here to kind of catch us all up. So the PlayStation 5 is set to get a unique overhaul in the middle of the fiscal year 2023, with the new console launching around September 2023, according to sources. Sources familiar with Sony's plans have shared details under the condition of anonymity outlining the next iteration of the PlayStation 5. It's been suggested that this new console will completely replace the A, B, and C chassis that have been in production since the console's launch. The console, currently named the D chassis PlayStation 5, will have almost identical hardware to the existing consoles already on the market. The most surprising new feature of the new PlayStation 5, though, is that the console will have a detachable disc drive that will be connected to the PlayStation 5 using an extra USB-C port on the back of the console. It's understood that this new PlayStation 5 console will be sold on its own or in a bundle with the detachable disc drive. It's also understood that the disc drives can be also purchased separately, so that if it gets busted, there's no need to buy an entirely new console. Sources have implied that although the new detachable disc drive is portable, it will not ruin the aesthetics of the console and will attach to it without looking external, presumably meaning that the new PlayStation 5 will look similar to the existing model. However,
probably have like a removable side panel, right? Because the panels come off at the moment anyway.
That's what I'm thinking.
Probably wrap around.
You just slot it in the back somewhere, right? It probably will have like. Do you remember like on the PS2, it had that thing where you could take the back panel off and pop in a modem so you could play online? I bet you it'll be something like that.
Quite possibly. I think this is. to me, something that should have been done from launch. It seems like a much more sensible approach to have than having two completely different SKUs that you've got to make for a worldwide market
Uh-huh.
and ship around the world. Like, why didn't you just do this as a, you can buy this for cheaper, and then if you want to add a drive later down the line, it's $100, and
Yeah,
you can
right.
pay the difference in price.
Or even if you want to do it out the box, right? You sell a bundle, right? It makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. And it's funny because I remember when it first dropped in our Discord earlier today, I was talking about it with Navlis from our community, and I was like, this is kind of weird. Like, who's this for? And then they made the point of like, well, like, then they just have one SKU. They don't have to make two different
Yeah,
versions. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about the supply constraints they've been dealing with, right? It's like, okay, we make another version that is, the lightest, cheapest one we can make, and then you just mass produce that. And if you really want physical media, you can spend extra for the disk drive, and it's the same cost differential theoretically, right? Like that makes a lot of sense.
I think it's the same reason that we've only seen one color as well. We've not seen them. We've seen different color panels that they're selling separately, but it's so much easier just have one production line, just keep them all going through, rather than having to differentiate. And then you've got to package it with like these ones come with Ratchet and Clank, these ones come with Days with like The Last of Us Part 2 or whatever they're going to bundle this year. So I think it makes an absolute ton of sense. It's worth saying that this comes from Tom Henderson, who's writing for Insider Gaming, which is a new outlet, and he's the one that leaked the new PlayStation Pro controller, whatever they're calling that. So he's got some pretty good sources. He's leaked that. He leaked the fact that 1440p and folders were coming before we knew about that. Same with the VRR. So he's got a good track record when it comes to leaking Sony stuff.
I also believe this is his outlet. If you look at there's like it's basically like a write for us, like, right? It's like send us a tip or whatever, and the email address is Tom Henderson. So I think this is like his outlet that he's trying to kick off.
Oh, quite possibly. That's cool if that's the case. I didn't realize that. I know his Twitter bio still says he's a freelancer, so that's cool if that's the case. And then good on Tom. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I guess unless he's just involved here,
through.
but it says PR communications and all can get in touch with Tom Henderson at Proton Email. So seems like he's at least very involved here. So yeah, I would take it to the bank, right? You can trust him on that one, I think.
So I think the timeline's a bit crazy though, right? The goal is like 2024 that this will come out. It's just like that seems quite late. Launching around September 2023. So I guess a year from now.
Yeah,
is the plan. Maybe if they're gonna show this as like a slimmed down model as well at the time, because it seems like we may have had a die shrink down to the 6 nanometer process at this point, which is why they were able to shrink down the motherboard, which we saw in the I think it's the PCH 1200 model. Austin Evans did a great teardown. If you haven't seen that over on his channel, it's well worth a watch. There's so much space left at the top of that console box now, so I feel like they can really shrink this down. Take off the drive, make it one SKU, allow people to buy a drive later if they want to. It makes so much sense. I feel like it should have been the approach from the beginning.
That was one of the things Tom called out too, is that in the current iterations, they've been trying to make the drive smaller and more efficient, and like that's been a point of focus. So it makes sense. I don't know. I wonder if they just didn't think this was going to be a problem. Right? Like, and that was why, right? Because I think to your point, like they probably could have done this from the beginning. I wonder like how that would have been received as a new piece of information of like, oh, the disk drive is detachable. You got to spend extra for the disk drive, is this and that. Like I could see people being negative about that, but now that I
think you could word it better than that though. It could be like, but if you don't want it, you save yourself $100.
Right, which is like that was the narrative around the digital version, but it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say this and like have it come off negatively, but I feel like I could see physical media people really like making a stink about that when it was newly revealed as like a new thing where it's like, oh, this is the only way to play physical games is you have to pay extra and you have to buy this attachment and it's not even built into the console. Like I think now that it's established and there's like a pipeline issue and you're like, oh, this will make it easier. Like it does make sense when you think about it for a couple seconds, but I think marketing wise, it's kind of messy to be like, oh yeah, it's like you gotta buy an external fucking disk drive, like one of those like, You remember those in like the early or the late 90s, early aughts, where that was like a thing where like you had those weird external disk drives that would like go run faster and everything, and I don't know.
No, yeah, we never had one because Dad just bought a one that went in. But it reminded me of the HD DVD drive, the optional add-on for the Xbox 360 that you could
Yes,
buy, and it
totally.
would just like sit next to it. And the PS5, the like digital edition, even has that similar like inner curve that it goes like in
Yeah,
and out at the top and the bottom. So if they do it like that, it's kind of going to be very similar in
I love it.
in aesthetic to
Just
that,
get
which
the
I always thought
weird
was
like
funny.
it's like, hey, would you like you have like a little mini DVD player that just sits on top, like. But the idea of it like slotting in the back so that it's not like gaudy and like not doesn't feel
I
like.
don't. It doesn't seem like it's going to slot in the back. I think it's going to be a cable that goes in the back. So Tom said it's a USB-C
It
port,
says
right?
that, but he said the thing about how it's not supposed to look like it's just an add-on, right? Like,
Yeah, and so what I think they'll do is have, you know how you have the plastic panels that come off at the moment? I think they'll probably, along with the disc drive, if you buy it separately, give you a second panel with the DVD slot in. So you kind of sort of sandwich it all together and put the panel on so it looks like one clean line, but you still have
yeah,
the cable that goes in the
no,
back.
yeah, for sure. But I feel like you won't, unless you're looking at the cable, you shouldn't be able to tell that it's there. Is what I feel
Yeah.
like he's implying, right? He says sources have implied that although the new detachable disc drive is portable, it will not ruin the aesthetics of the console, and it will attach to it without looking external.
Mhm.
Which is
I
that.
mean, I was gonna say, how can you ruin an aesthetic of an ugly console anyway? Because I really just think it's hideous. But
Steve, you got no respect. You got no respect. The PlayStation 5 looks like the future. And you were describing its curves.
yeah,
It's a giant curvy obelisk. And if you don't think that's sexy, I think that's a you problem. I don't know. And it gives this insane blue light. Like the PS5 looks like it's trying to like steal my brain or something. And that's what I want.
yeah, maybe fair enough. I really think it's subjective, it's personal preference. I just think it's, in my eyes, poor design that you have to have this stupid circular disc stand like thing that it sits on, even when it's like
I'll
horizontal,
give you
because
that
otherwise
one.
it's wonky.
I'll give you that one. I don't like that. I feel like it needs a kickstand. Like it needs I don't like that it has a separate piece of plastic I gotta stick on. I'll give you that, but I don't know. I like the new consoles. I like that they're just all, like weird fucking like the Xbox Series X is just a rectangle. Like
I love
it's
it. I love it. And it's a cube that they've then gone, let's just keep it going. Bigger and bigger and bigger, taller, taller, taller. Right, now we can fit all the components in. Quick, stuff them in.
like they both look like fucking evil obelisks. Like
Yeah.
you put a red light coming out of the Xbox Series X and tell me that thing doesn't look fucking
They should have
sinister.
a green one.
I
Yeah, you got like
know.
the green plastic in the top.
Ah,
And
I
there's,
wish
like, a
it.
green light.
I wish it had LEDs in it, and I know that that's
Yeah.
so fucking stupid and cost prohibitive.
That's so gamer of you. You just want some RGBs in there.
Yes, that's what but not RGBs. I just
The
want it.
Xbox brought to you by Razer.
No, because I just want it to be the Xbox green though. Like I want to turn it on and have it like when it does the little beep, like I want it to just like start shooting fucking green light out of the top. Like it's not crazy enough, Steve. It's just not crazy enough. But I imagine we'll hear more about this sooner than later.
I think it's probably going to be like next July at the
Yeah.
earliest. If it's planned for next September,
Yeah.
we'll probably hear it around E3 next year, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That makes sense to me. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a good move. Hopefully this will help with some of the supply constraints and it'll be a little bit less like pulling teeth to get your hands on a PlayStation, because I'm sure that that's the thing that they really want to alleviate, right? At this point is you got to be able to just get your hands on one if you want one.
But before we move on from the quick hits section, I wanted a quick follow up to, I think it was yesterday's, well, it will be Sunday's episode if you're listening to this, when we spoke about the controllers. About the custom, like so Ray from the community, who is a game collector, messaged me and said, regarding Flip Screen Games podcast, if I already have a pro controller and the collector's edition comes out with a standard one or whatever, it's staying in the box. It would need to be at least as good as the best controller I already have. Otherwise, why would I ever use it? If I'm going to buy another controller to use, it needs to be the best one available. And that's my mentality on it that we spoke about.
Right, but
I want them to be the pro
yeah,
versions.
but that doesn't discount my mentality, which is that's elitist, right? Because then
I
you're
know.
saying that the only people that can get cool custom controllers are people who are willing to spend twice as much money to get a high end controller that the vast majority of people do not give a fuck about. You know, I'm real, like real as fuck. I play a lot of video games. I own a lot of controllers. I think those controllers are a waste of money. I really do. I think unless you are a
Which ones?
like,
The Elite ones
yeah,
or the I
both.
actually think the PlayStation one is going to be a real good buy because if your sticks drift, you swap them out.
Sure, but that notwithstanding, right? Like being able to resolve a design flaw notwithstanding. Um, I've played on the Xbox, and not the modern one, but the one from last generation, the series, or not the series, the Xbox One's, the original like $200 Pro controller, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, it's the Elite Series one they call it.
Yeah, and it's like it's nice. Don't get me wrong, it's really nice. I don't think it's that much better than a regular controller. Like if I was like
I would agree with you, but my thing is with that controller, especially on the Xbox side, maybe it matters less on the PlayStation side, but I think the new Series 2 Core controller is the one I would recommend anyone buy, no matter what, because it comes with a rechargeable battery included, and that's not something you get with the base Xbox controller. You have to buy a separate rechargeable battery.
Yeah, but you can just buy a rechargeable battery.
Cable. You can buy a rechargeable battery if you want the official Xbox Play and Charge kit, which plugs in via USB-C and it's really nice. That's like $30, 29.99, I think is the MSRP on it.
Mm-hmm.
By the time you've done that and you bought another controller, you're pretty much at the same price as that $120 Series 2 Core controller.
Yeah, but instead you have two controllers that both have rechargeable packs instead of one, right?
But yes, but if you're replacing a controller, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I think a lot of people wait is they burn out their controller and they'll be like, right, I'll get another one and I'll see which one's around at the moment.
Yeah.
And the one that's around at the moment is the new God of War edition. I'll buy that one.
I think for me, it's just like those controllers feel like a super luxury item. And it's not to say that like there's no reason to get one. Like if you have one, I'm not saying you're a chump or whatever. But like for me, it's like, like unless I'm like a fucking like MLG like professional shooter player, do I need that extra accuracy that costs twice as much or whatever? Like all the different kinds of sticks and everything, I don't like them as much as the regular sticks that come on the fucking
Which is
controller.
great, which I think is whether that new version that we haven't spoken about on the podcast, so they've like announced this new version, which I really want in flip screen yellow. It's like $120. It's going to be the same price point as the PlayStation one. And I like the fact that it's piecemeal and you can add to it as you want. You can buy like the sticks that you want and the accessories that you want. I think even if you just wanted the ability to control the tightness on the sticks or the triggers, or you just want something that's more comfortable in your hands with a rubber grip and with a rechargeable battery built in and with triggers that can be
and like don't get me wrong, if that appeals to you then great, right? And like it seems like there are a lot of people that feel that way, and that like if you're willing to plunk that extra money down then like go for it. But I think as soon as you start making like it's the cool limited edition God of War controller, and then you're locking it behind that, but you have to spend twice as much as a regular controller, that 100% just feeds into the Sony's so money grubby and this and that and this and that, and like, you know, and it's like it's the exact same thing we're dinging them for in other places, but being like, this should be the only way, right? Like if you're gonna buy a special controller, it should be the most expensive one. It's like, yeah, if you want that, but if you don't, then you're just making it so that you can't get a cool collectible that you would have gotten, right? And like, I think that greatly prices a lot of PlayStation gamers out of picking it up.
Yeah, possibly. I think it also depends what your goal is. If your goal is to have a controller that you're going to use every day and it's going to be your only sole controller, which is what my goal is, then I want it to be the best one and I want it themed like the game. I want it to be themed like, if the goal is to collect them and have them on a shelf and have them look cool, and I go over and I'm like, I'm going to play with the Forza one today, or I'm going to play with the God of War one today, then I would agree with you that makes sense as a collector. But
For me, it's
also
also
think
a
if you're
matter of
collector,
convenience, though, right? Because, like, I have the pink one and I have the base white one, and it's like, well, if my white one's dead, I grab the pink one and I plug the white one in. And if my pink one dies, I grab the white one and I plug the pink one back in, right? And, like, that's a huge thing for me is, like, I just want to be able to not be tethered to being plugged in, and I want to always have a controller ready to go, and I want to be able to play 2-player if somebody comes over. Like, those are the reasons I pick up a new controller, right? Like, not I need to have the hottest, best, craziest one. And, like, I've thought about getting one because I kind of want to, like, see what it's about, but it's like, man, it's like I could buy an Xbox Series S for almost this investment. Right, like
they're $120 now. The core one.
Oh, 120. Okay, that's not so bad.
Yeah,
because the Xbox ones
price.
were,
and you can get them on Design Lab for that as well. It's maybe $10 more.
Wait,
they're
what?
coming to Design Lab.
They're coming to Design
Elite
Lab?
controllers are. Yeah,
okay, all right, maybe so
that's
then.
how you can get the yellow one.
The hot flip screen yellow. All right, I'm back in, Steve. I'm in. Let's do it. Let's spend too much money on controllers.
Yeah, it's because it's 60 for the base one, and then it's double that.
You're talking about Xbox though.
120. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, and what's the PlayStation?
I don't think they've announced, but I think the rumor was 120.
Cool.
Same price.
Makes sense. Well, I appreciate you writing in, Ray, because it's clearly a thing that I think it really depends on, like, your mentality about this stuff, whether or not.
I don't buy multiple controllers. I wait until one's dead and I'll buy another one. And I like to think that it will last a generation, but they don't usually.
The only console I've ever had where that was the case was the PlayStation 4. Where my original DualShock 4 the battery was so dead that, like, unless it was plugged in, it did not work. Right? It was totally juiced. So, like, that one I bought, I have 4 DualShock 4s. And there was the original one it came with, the one that came with my Spider-Man console, and then I had a blue one and one of the see-through ones that they did, the crystals. That's the most... Well, no, I guess I had that many Xbox 360 controllers, but they weren't special. I just had basic ones because I wanted to be able to play 4-player split-screen Halo, right? Shit like that. For me, controllers are utilitarian, right? Like, you get them because you want to use them, and I like to get cool ones. Like, I already have 3 Xbox Series X controllers because I bought the blue one at launch, and then I bought the 20th anniversary one when that dropped. So, but yeah, I think I'd rather have a couple than one crazy one. Especially because, like, if I get so used to that, then can I not use the regular ones anymore? Am I going to be, like, a snob about that and be like...
I know I will be because I already love the back panels on the Steam Deck.
I know that that's, like, the future of gaming, and everyone's like, back buttons, you need good on back buttons. I don't fucking like them. I don't like pushing buttons. I don't like pushing buttons on the back.
They replaced the D-pad buttons because a lot of games will chuck, like heal or whatever under the D-pad. Days Gone's the same. So I used to have to do this, like, weird thing where I take my other hand, and as I'm running, I would press
you do the crab claw. No, you got to do the crab claw like it's you're playing.
Well, no, I don't have to because I run and I just press one of the back buttons.
That's what I would do in Elden Ring when it was like, I gotta heal, keep running, and then crab claw and press up so you can heal. Like, and
no need when you can just assign it to a back button.
And, like, that definitely makes more sense, but I'm not used to there being fucking buttons on the back of a controller yet. So, like, it feels weird. Like, it doesn't feel natural to push those buttons, you know? And, like, I feel like I don't have the muscles in those fingers to be like, oh yeah, like, pushing these fucking buttons at a weird angle. Like, I don't know. It's something I gotta get past. All right, let's jump into the main event here, Steve. We got, arguably, I think, probably one of the
I think it's the biggest leak in
video
game history.
It might be. If that feels hyperbolic, but it's up there. This is a pretty big one.
It's huge. We learned so much from the footage that was leaked.
Yeah, and, like, not even, like, just the amount of stuff, but how much information was in it and all that. Especially considering it's a game we know literally nothing about, right? Because, like, there are things, like, I remember, like, Last of Us Part 2 had that huge leak, like, right before it dropped, but obviously we already knew things about that. It was imminent. It was, like, this is a game that hasn't even officially been announced yet, right? And, like, we've now had major leaks in terms of like a couple weeks ago we were talking about the new plot and everything that came out of Jason Schreier's article about the new culture at Rockstar and everything, and then now a few weeks later we have this just massive leak, and there's a lot of angles to it that I want to discuss. I mean, there's obviously like the actual meat and potatoes of what we saw and all that, but I think then there's also kind of the broader conversation about like leaks in general and what they mean and like how they impact studios and how a lot of people on Twitter are not very smart and are not able to interpret things beyond face value because our media literacy is at a shockingly low point for a society that consumes as much media as we do.
You don't think part of that is more like gamers just don't know how the sausage is made and they assume that it all looks wonderful?
Yeah,
right from the get-go.
Sure, but my argument would be, and maybe this is a hot take, but this is genuinely how I feel. I'm of the opinion, if you're the type of person who is like, I'm a gamer, I love games, games are part of my identity, and it's in your bio on Twitter, and you're fucking following games journos and trying to keep up with games and all this stuff, and you're a real reply guide and news and video games, I feel like you should probably take 5 seconds and learn a little bit about how the sausage gets made, or you should shut the fuck up.
How do you learn about
What do you mean? You read Jason Schreier's book. You read.
Yeah, you can read.
You read developer accounts.
See it. You can't see it. You can read developer accounts, but you never get to see it. No one really understood what these debug builds were. No one understood what the text on the screen was because nobody gets taught this because it's all secret behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be really cool to have like someone like NoClip go in, or someone like and do like a documentary, and then when it's released, we go, here's like the making of GTA 6, like they did with Horizon.
I agree with you, but that's the thing. Those things exist. Like you just gave the example of the Horizon thing. You can go and look at alpha footage of Horizon, and it doesn't look anything like the finished version of Horizon. I think, and I won't say all of us, because again, not everybody keeps up with this kind of thing, but I know that you and I have both watched that footage of the the fucking like basic ass thing where they had the like 2 cavemen in the multiplayer mode and they're fighting the big polygon T-Rex that has no textures on it, and I'm sorry, like there are a lot of resources for you to learn about game design. You could go watch free documentaries on YouTube. There's plenty of books about it. I've read dozens of books about game design and game development and understanding that game development is iterative and that 2 years into game development, a game's going to look a lot different than 6 months before you're going to play it, right? Like, I feel like that's common sense. And I think if you don't know that, that is, maybe it's not common knowledge, but guess what? You also don't need to go and then comment on something that you don't understand and be like, this looks like shit, this game's in trouble, this is that. You don't know anything. Like, you're literally just talking sideways out of your ass, right? And, I find that to be
quite fair.
I find that to be deeply frustrating because you don't need to know how the sausage gets made, but you also don't need to make being a reply guy on Twitter and talking shit about game developers a part of your identity either, right? So I don't expect you to care about how the sausage gets made, but then don't talk about how it gets made because you don't know shit, and no one needs that opinion, right? Like it's a completely intellectually void opinion to offer. Because it comes from no research, no practical experience, no even trying to understand what you're looking at, right? And I gotta say, right, I am not a game developer. I am not one of the best games journalists in the world. I was able to look at that and immediately identify what we were looking at within a second, right? Because I have taken enough time to learn about the fucking medium that I claim to love so much that I know when I'm looking at alpha footage. Right? When I'm looking at something that is in development.
This is not even alpha footage. Most of this is So it's unclear where the leak came from. So Rockstar gave a response today, as of the time of recording, which stated that they suffered with a network intrusion. And
do you want to just read it?
Yeah, so the whole message said, we recently suffered a network intrusion in which an unauthorized third party illegally accessed and downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage for the next Grand Theft Auto. At this time, we do not anticipate any disruption to our live services, nor any long-term effect on the development of our ongoing projects. We are extremely disappointed to have any details of our next game shared with you in this way. Our work on the next Grand Theft Auto game will continue as planned, and we remain as committed as ever to delivering an experience to you, our players, that truly exceeds your expectations. We will update everyone again soon, and of course, we'll properly introduce you to this next game when it's ready. We want to thank everyone for their ongoing support through this situation, the Rockstar Games team. So it's not clear really from that how and where it was acquired. I think the hacker slash the leaker said that he got it through Slack at some point yesterday when this was all going on, which would make sense because all the footage is small little bite-sized videos that people have then collated together and put on YouTube. But the zip files around there, if you want to find it, there's about 3.8 gigabytes of video, and the videos are like from individual developers. So they're looking at, there's some that's just like focusing on character models and animations and doing things for those specific characters. And then there's greater detail where it's like a more open play test. There's like play tests looking at like a new system where you can go and rob shops and you can hold people hostage, and you can see the it seems to confirm everything that was in Jason Schreier's reporting earlier this year over on Bloomberg.
The whole like
you've got
Bonnie and Clyde thing,
and you can switch between them. We now know the names of the characters, at least as of the leaked footage, which seems to be ranges all the way from 2 years ago up to now.
So that's like a huge thing too, right? It's like some of this is stuff we might never ever see in the game.
Yeah,
you know.
But the characters for now are called Jason and Lucia or Lucia.
I believe it's. I believe you say that Lucia.
Okay, so Jason and Lucia, and you can switch between them. It looks like they have a shared inventory, but they also carry individual items. So there's like things on screen where you have like a grenade that both of you can access no matter which character you're on. There's some footage that was there where it showed the mechanic of where you sort of like go from one character to another, and you sort of have this like out of body experience for a moment, and then you snap back into the other character. But it also confirmed a bunch of other stuff. Like, we know this is now set in Vice City. There's footage where it's like the Vice City Metro, and you can see that.
And again, that was a thing that was in Jason's article, right? Was that at least because I know part of that was that the game was originally going to be multiple cities, and then they decided to scale it back and just do Vice City, and that long term they would like. The plan would be to release new campaigns that take place in other cities so that, you know, they can build out the online world as well of GTA Online. So yeah, it's again, right, seems to be corroborating a lot of what Jason was reporting on, which is interesting.
Yeah, there was documents as well which showed like the map and where they're focusing in on where this is based on in Miami, which is cool. There's a bunch of stuff in there, and obviously none of this should have been visible to the public at all, and it is all stolen. But I still think it's really cool and worth reporting on. And one of the more interesting things I think that popped up for me was one of the earliest videos shows them running it on a PS4 dev kit. You can see the dev kit screen, and like you have that like PlayStation 4 music from the background, which was really cool. So there's a lot of cool tidbits in there.
On the note of the age of the footage and the test builds and stuff, there was a comment here I wanted to pull in. This one comes from Andrew Grant, who is an engineer over at Epic Games. He works in like Fortnite, Unreal, and has worked on a bunch of other stuff. And he was talking about, he was kind of contextualizing this a little bit in a way that I thought was interesting. So he was actually replying to a tweet from Steve Troughton Smith, who I got to say, I do not know who he is. But he was tweeting about it and was talking about how GTA footage is fascinating. You're really seeing how the sausage is made. I love the debug output from its AI state machine, all recorded on RTX 360 series cards, so good indication of how recent it is, but runs terribly, so good indication of how far away it is. And then Andrew replied and gave some context that I thought was interesting. That again is I think one of the kinds of things that, right, if you're not keeping up with devs, if you're not learning about all this stuff, right, like there's things here that you'll have seen that you won't really fully understand. And he here said, all the debug output indicates their development builds, which can be anywhere from 20% to 200% or more slower. Compiler optimizations off, asserts on, memory validation enabled, etc. A standard dev build of Fortnite runs at about 60% the speed of a quote-unquote shipping build.
Which is mad, right? Which is why it looks like it runs like crap, where it probably won't. And Steve's not actually correct. A lot of the footage is on 10 series cards. There's a lot of 1080, 1080 Ti's, 1080 Supers. So there's a lot of older cards in there as well, going all the way back to a 10 series card. Whether they're testing on those like older cards for optimization, or that's just the older footage,
Yeah, the
which
game's
would
just been in
collaborate
development for
with,
years, you
yeah.
know?
And it's obviously been in development for a long time. They're way, way down the line. There's a lot of stuff that looks really polished and really refined. Some of the stuff around vehicles, for example, there's so much detail in there that even small assets like there's controls in the game engine that in the video that you saw whoever was doing it, the developer was going in and was like dragging this slider and it could like put the visor in the car at any specific point. It can individually control pedals. There's like details around like where the mirror goes and things. There's so much detail in these vehicles.
That's such a rock star ass thing to do.
Yeah, they know that what their fans want though. There'll be people that go on and play like 5M, which is this mod which allows people to go on and play like role play games and stuff within GTA, and people want that. They want to be able to like make their cars as custom as possible.
Yeah, it's just funny because like it reminds me of, I know we were because you've not played any of the more modern GTAs, and I know we were talking about GTA 5, and I had mentioned how there was like the yoga mini game and the tennis and all this stuff that I'm like, is anybody doing this shit? Or like, they just do this to add this level of depth where it's like, you could go to a yoga class. It's like, okay, shit, fine.
But yeah, I mean, the level of depth in this game looks like a real step up. The fact that you can just walk into a shop and just be like, right, I'm going to hold you at gunpoint and I want you to give me all your money out of the till. You know, that being able to do that really gives like a level of depth that you never got in earlier GTA games. And I really like the two characters, which we've not seen and haven't really been officially revealed to us yet. But I like the fact that you can play between the two of them. I like the fact that you can play for a woman for the first time.
That was the case in 5 as well, and I think that was something that was really cool about that game, was like the whole like you have the three protagonists and everything, and the thing you mentioned about like zooming and like having the out of body experience, that was always one of my favorite things. It'd be like when you would switch characters, it would just jump to wherever in the map they were, and they would always be doing something, right? Like,
oh yeah, it does that same thing.
Yeah,
so they've been testing that in GTA 6.
And it's like sometimes it would just be like normal, right? Like you pick up Michael and he's like sitting on his couch watching a fucking movie or some shit like that. But like Trevor, who was like the real, like, he's like a real crazy, you know, wild psychopath asshole type GTA character. And I remember he would always there was once where I remember like I spawned like on the top of a building and he was like in his underwear with like a bottle of booze, and like, or like he like woke up in a dumpster or shit like that, you know, and he just crawls out and it's like, all right, let's do it. Like, you know, you're playing me as me now. Like, just so silly. Like those are things that like, it's funny because I've thought a lot over the last like decade now about like, man, I kind of want to play a GTA again. I kind of want to replay GTA, but like we talked a lot about it in the episode around Jason's report of just like, I just don't know that it will have aged with me in a way that vibes anymore. And like, I'm very excited by the idea of being able to jump into GTA 6 and have something that hopefully feels like a little bit more
modern. I think it just needs to feel fresh. That's not something that's 8 years old now.
Oh, and not even just the 8
older.
And like, yeah, I guess that is literally true. Like, there's that aspect of it, but I think even parts of, because like 8 years ago was so the end of a period of time, right? Like it not only feels like a video game that is 8 years old, but like its whole like, it has this whole like aughts kind of energy where like I think I and a lot of audiences are kind of exhausted by that, right? That like Gen X like cynicism, like, you know, like I'm not super interested in that kind of stuff as much anymore, you know, and like edgy like shock value humor and like that kind of stuff is just like, it just doesn't, I don't think it hits the way that it used to. Not only
no,
just,
I would agree with that. Yeah,
you know, because I feel like I have, as an individual, have aged out of that a little bit, but I also think that like audiences are kind of sick of that, you know, and I think we want things that are more rooted in like earnesty and sincerity, you know, and like I don't want GTA to not be parody and not be funny and all those things.
Oh, it's
but
definitely parody. From looking at the footage, there's still a lot of parody in
right.
there.
And like I just I
You can
I
do it without punching down though. Like you parody the right people, you
yeah.
know.
And it's like I feel like GTA 5 tried to engage with that a little bit. Like there's like a whole thing where they're like fucking taking the piss out of Facebook and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, make fun of tech billionaires. That's cool or whatever, fine. But like I don't know. I feel like that game didn't have heart in the way that GTA 4 has heart. Like GTA 4's narrative has some real, you know, weight to it. You know, like there's some actual emotional beats in that story that are like good and cool, and obviously we know that Rockstar is capable of doing that with like Red Dead Redemption, right? And like I don't need it to be like a serious gritty crime drama necessarily, but like I don't know, I want to feel like I like the characters that I'm playing as to some level, even if they are, you know, criminal murderers or whatever, right? Like, I do kind of want, I don't know, I want to feel like there's more meat on the bone aside from just like, you know, I don't know, like Monster of the Week, who can we fucking make fun of today? You know? What awful fucking thing can we make you do and then have you be like, you know? Do you enjoy this, you sick fuck? You know?
I hope it's not that. I think they're probably on the right track. One last thing I want to touch on from the footage is this Jay Norris character. I never played GTA 5, as you know, but I know Jay Norris was in that character. He was the CEO of Life Invader, which I think was the Facebook thing that you were talking about, like
yeah, doesn't he die?
Facebook. He's dead, and like there's like two
he
characters
gets, yeah,
talking about how he's dead.
There's a scene where you fucking
shit.
There's a scene where you murder him on television, basically. Like I forget what it is, but you yeah, okay, here it is. It says, in the mission friend request under the orders of Lester Crest, Michael DeSantis places a device in the prototype phone Norris was to present at a live televised keynote later in the day. As he unveils the phone, Michael calls it from his home, which activates the explosive. And you blow his head up, basically.
Yeah, and that's he's Mark Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah. The name of it's like Life Invader, yeah, so right? Like
he's still referenced. There's like characters talking about it, so I don't know where this takes place, whether he's dead or if this is like the timeline before that game. Like, are we back in time a little bit? Are we in the future? And like the character talks about, it's like, yeah, so Jay Norris can download your fucking brain and sell it to the Chinese, which is in the leaked clip. I don't know. It's really interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this lines up in the timeline for it, because I thought Jay Norris was dead as well.
He was, yeah, and that's 10 years ago now, right? So,
yeah,
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, like if they're. Or is that like repurposed dialogue from GTA 5 that they just like?
It could well be repurposed dialogue that's just in the game, or it could be that this is set further back than we expect.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. That's interesting. But I gotta say, like I get bummed with stuff like this because I am so excited by leaks. Like it's very interesting to get to peek through and see how the sausage gets made, and like we love that stuff, right? But there is like that human cost to it that always feels gross, right? Where it's like it's certainly not a victimless crime, you know. Jason Schreier, who we talk about a lot on this show, right? One of the best journalists in the game. He put out a series of tweets yesterday that I thought was a good like bite-sized way to talk about this side of it. So Jason said, not that there was much doubt, but I've confirmed with Rockstar sources that this weekend's massive Grand Theft Auto 6 leak is indeed real. The footage is early and unfinished, of course. This is one of the biggest leaks in video game history and a nightmare for Rockstar Games. To those who asked, there are several reasons this is a nightmare for Rockstar. One is that it'll disrupt work for a while. Another is that it may lead management to limit work from home flexibility. The repercussions of this leak might not be clear for quite a while. And that is something that is like a real bummer. And I've seen a lot of people kind of replying, being like, "Oh, they're gonna push the game back. This means it's gonna take longer." Blah 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 blah. That may or may not be the case, right? Obviously, in the statement from Rockstar, they said that they felt confident that that wasn't an issue. But that's also the thing that you say, right? So your stock doesn't dip. So that whatever, right? So you can't discount that side of it. That like, you know, like if this does result in them kind of clamping the boot on security and now there's less ability to share files freely, all that kind of stuff. That really sucks, you know? And like, as much as I am happy to see this stuff, I don't want it to come at the expense of people's ability to work on the game and to work on the game comfortably. And it's tough because there is that like kid on Christmas morning element where you're like, this is so exciting. I want to see all this. I want to dig through the footage and understand what's going on and get hyped about it. But I can't help but feel a little bit, conflicted, I guess, when this stuff does drop.
Yeah, it's sad. And, I think, especially for a game as big as GTA 6, everyone's really excited for it, and rightly so. It's been since 2013 that we had another GTA game, and I think it'll come, and I think we're probably going to see a trailer sooner rather than later now. I feel like they need to put something out to respond to this. Everyone's seen it. The cat's out of the bag. We know the like USP of this Bonnie and Clyde couple, right? And I kind of feel like it would be good to put something out there. This would be one of those times, Pete, where I would be happy with a CGI trailer just to acknowledge that, yes, GTA 6 exists and it's happening in Vice City and this is the right place for it.
You're ridiculous, man.
We've already seen it, and I feel like if you need to do a rush job, get a trailer out to do some damage control.
So what you're telling me is
stop your stock price sinking.
CGI trailers, not appropriate when they're planned, fine to scramble together and slap one together after You're ridiculous. You're fucking ridiculous. If you just put out the CGI trailer intentionally, then they can't leak you.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe. Also, you were bitching about the fucking Black Panther Captain America CGI trailer. That game got leaked. They were talking about it weeks ago. So they did put out a trailer. And you're like, oh, why they gotta show a trailer? Like,
yeah, like I said, I don't care about CGI trailers.
Psycho.
Something fresh and something new, and it's an IP that no one cares about, right? For Captain America, it makes sense. For Black Panther, it makes sense. We went through that. I think for GTA, everyone fucking knows what GTA plays like. Just do like a GTA 6 character walking down like the Vice City beach. We'd all be very happy.
Dude, you don't even need to do that, right? Like, because the thing is, if you literally just put out a video where it was like fucking Welcome to the Jungle or some shit playing, like one of the iconic Vice City songs, and then it was just like GTA 6, whatever the subtitle is or whatever, or it's just literally GTA 6, but it's done in that Miami Vice 80s kind of influence, like, Vice City font, people would lose their fucking mind. You don't even need to show a fucking frame of footage, and people would be like, this is huge. This is huge news, like...
It would be huge news. We've been talking about it for ages.
It's the biggest, it's literally the biggest brand in gaming. Right, like we know this, not in numbers of units, but
entertainment, really.
Yeah, but
in terms of price,
right, in terms of like money generated, like people fuck with Grand Theft Auto, right, in a big way. So it's like that's the funny thing is like really like if they had, even if all this had leaked and they had already announced it, I don't think it would have been as like embarrassing. It wouldn't have been so much like holy shit, like they haven't even.
It would have been we told you this is coming in 2024. It's obviously still early footage, and we'll show you more when we're ready.
Right, and you'd be like, whatever. But for this to be the first look at it, right, when like it's already kind of leaked a little bit, is kind of like they got to be like, fucking A, man, come on,
Yeah, crazy. And like you said, like you were saying, I'm torn with leaks as well, because for this one, I was all in because I didn't know anything about GTA 5. I don't really care about that story being spoiled for me, and I don't really care about GTA 6's story being spoiled for me all that much. But Diablo 4 also had 53 minutes of footage leaked.
And I'll tell you what, it's very funny to me, and it's fucked up to say this, but it's very funny because this leaked like 24 hours ago and it's still up. because nobody fucking cares because everybody was focusing on the GTA 6 thing, and all that footage is getting scrubbed, right? Like, it's already off YouTube. You can still find it, but like, unless you've archived it or you're like trolling message boards or whatever, you're not going to find it at this point, right?
Oh, it's all gone from GTA forums as well, which is where this initial leak happened. It's all gone. And I think if you are posting that yourself and hosting it yourself, you're in for a world of hurt.
Yeah,
so
don't.
I would recommend don't
do
that. We will not be playing any footage in this video.
I wanted to. I was like, oh yeah, like let's show some of the B-roll. And then I was immediately like, as I was putting this together, I was like, wait, I can't fucking do that. They're gonna sue our ass. Like, I can't even report on
this
it.
video would have been gone. Yeah, it would have been gone. But I don't want to watch that as well. And that also comes from a friend and family, like closed beta. And the footage is watermarked with a unique ID. I do not know why this footage is online. It looks like it was a recording that someone made of a Discord call where they were like sharing it with a friend, and you can hear the call over the top of it. And it's really like sad that this is out because someone's going to get reprimanded at work for their friends or their family leaking this footage.
Yup.
But it's watermarked with the employee ID all over it.
Yeah, that guy is in a lot of trouble.
Looks phenomenal though.
It
Cannot wait
does.
for Diablo 4, but I do not want the story ruined for me. I'm not going to watch any of the footage that comes out from any of the betas. I'm waiting for myself because I love Diablo.
From what I looked at, I don't think you'd have any story spoilers. It's mostly just like overworld, like combat and stuff.
Yeah, I also couldn't stand listening to the modified audio because they'd clearly doctored the voices before they uploaded it.
Yeah, I watched it muted. Like, I was like,
awful.
I'm not trying to listen to this shit. I'll tell you what, I'm excited about this game. I really am. Like I never played Diablo 2, or 1, obviously, but 3 I played a decent amount of in college. My roommate and I played it together quite a bit. I think I bought it for him for his birthday or something once, and like we played through that campaign, and I think I played through it twice, maybe 1.5 times. And it was like fun enough, but it was a game that I remember thinking, this is literally only fun because I'm playing it with a friend and we're like, you know, talking and listening to music and having drinks, and like it's not really the game as much as the game is a conduit for like a good hang. But this looks fun. Like, this to me looks appealing, and like I think it's a mixture of like I really like the art style, and like it has like it's very like it feels very grounded, and like the dark kind of grim look to it. Like Diablo 3 felt more cartoony.
Yeah.
You know, and like I like the look of this. It feels.
Oh really? No way. No. This looks a lot like D3. Yeah, I think you might like Diablo 2 more than Diablo 3, to be honest.
That's what I've been told. But I don't know. I think this looks fun.
We need to get you that on Xbox, and we'll do some Diablo 2 streams.
I told you I would.
Because Diablo 2 is one of my favorite games of all time.
Here's the thing, Steve. I'll do it with you. And there's 2 ways you can achieve that. Either you trade me a game and you actually play it, and then we're good. Or you buy it for me. There you go. And I'll do it either way. I'm with you.
What game, though? What game? Because I'll play Persona 5 Royal for you.
No, you already agreed to that for content. You can't backdoor that in now, you son of a bitch. This is exactly why.
I might have changed my mind. I'm not going to do it unless you trade with me to play Diablo 2.
Wow, dude, you're really going to say that. You're really just going to break Zaid's heart. This man is so excited.
I couldn't do that.
So excited for us to play Persona. Just wants to share his favorite game with you. Oh, Steve, real villain over here. I start this by saying I'm excited to play the next entry in one of your favorite franchises, and you find a way to turn it around on me. Anyway, I really do think this game looks good. Every time we've seen it, I've been more interested in it. But that first look at it really caught my eye.
They're taking their time with it, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they got a lot wrong with Diablo 3 at launch.
That game was such a bad launch, you know? Like, they gotta not wanna. They must be like, we can't have egg on our face again, right? Like, we need to have this come out.
You wouldn't want that.
Especially because
it looks like a return to form, really.
And I
Very
know,
different to Diablo 3 in some ways.
and everybody was like, obviously, like, upset about like the Diablo mobile game and everything. So like, I
Oh
feel,
God, yeah.
I feel like they know they got to come out swinging with this one, and it's really got to hit. So I hope it does. And I hope there's no auction house, and I hope the servers work on launch day.
Oh, auction house is gone. That was dead 8 years ago. That's never coming back.
I know. I'm just
The
hitting.
server issues, that's gonna happen. That's every day and date for every Blizzard game. They never get enough fucking servers up, and I don't know why.
Overwatch was okay. I remember Overwatch was all right on launch. That wasn't so bad.
Overwatch 2 won't be though, will it?
No, it's free to play. It's probably gonna be bad. I feel like it's like, oh, cool, a free sequel to one of the most popular games of the last 5 years. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Even Fall Guys went down when it went free to play, and I feel like Epic is kind of known for having a bit of stability in their online services.
Sure.
I do not trust Blizzard to keep their servers up at all.
The only thing with Overwatch is they have had a very long beta. So hopefully they've, been able to use some of those learnings to make it so that it'll be a little bit better on launch day, but
Fingers crossed. I mean, how many World of Warcraft expansions have they put out now over the course of its like 20-something year lifespan?
5?
And every single one, I still have my friends complain that they can't connect to the server on day one.
To be fair, that is a game that was made in 2004. That game
It's
has
a long time, almost 20 years to refine those servers.
But I don't think you can. That's the thing, though. The foundation is 20. It's, you know what I mean? It's like you built the bottom floor of a house, and you just keep putting layers on top and not change.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just slowly crumbling and crushing underneath. It's full of subsidence, and like the walls are falling down. Eventually, you just have to build a new house.
I don't know. I think people got to stop playing it first, right? Like, I don't think
people didn't stop playing Overwatch, and they made a second one of those.
Yeah. Can you fucking... they couldn't, though.
World of Warcraft 2.
That would be so fucking crazy if they were just like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. Like, we're bringing back MMOs, everybody.
Yeah, I don't think they went away. Destiny proved that. They just need something fresh.
Yeah, Destiny's a little different, though. Like, it is an MMO. You're literally correct. But, like, it's not World of Warcraft, EVE Online, like, Warhammer 40K, that kind of, like, that last one was a bad
More
example.
session-based.
That game really did not last very long.
No.
But I played it, so I remember it. Knights of the Old Republic. What's that one called? Fuck.
Not KOTOR. It's something else. But it's still online.
But it's that one. It's the BioWare's.
Yeah. Still up somehow.
That game's still fucking going, huh? I mean, people like it. It's good, apparently. I don't know. But you forget about it. You're like, yeah, they're really still working on that game like 13 years later, huh? That came out in like 2010.
Somehow, yeah. I mean, I don't think they're actively supporting it with new content and things. It's just up.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely interested. Definitely interested in Diablo IV. And I am, as much as I'm sure it's ages away, I am getting myself excited for GTA 6. The idea of getting back into another like big meaty Rockstar experience is pretty appealing to me right now.
Maybe I should just play Red Dead finally, because I never got too far in that. Red Dead 2.
Red Dead 2 is good. I get the criticism for it, but I really enjoyed my time with it. It's a little too long.
How long was it from announcement to release date? So it was announced in October
For Red Dead?
2016. When did it release?
2018.
So 2 years. So we could be ripe for a GTA 6 announcement if it's coming out in if it's going to come out in 2024.
I don't think it is, though.
You think 2025?
I kind of do. I could see them announcing it.
Wait.
I could see them announcing it next year, and then it comes out 2025.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Can you imagine if it comes to PS4? I know they were running it on PS4s, but can you imagine if they're targeting PS4?
That would be fucking weird. I don't think they will.
Depends how many people are still playing GTA Online on PS4, because they definitely have the stats.
Yeah. But like,
and if they can sell them another $60 or $70 game, for that player
Sure,
base, they probably
sure.
would.
But then, like, how does that affect the longevity of GTA Online on those platforms? Right? How long are you going to support it? How long can you support it? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that feels weird to me. I feel like they probably want a clean slate that they can run GTA Online 2 for another 10 years. And, like, I would imagine the mentality is you'll jump over, right, eventually, and we'll get you back. And maybe they keep GTA Online, the original, running for a while, so you can.
I actually think it'll probably be you can choose between maps for a good chunk of time,
You
or
think
even
they'll
forever,
be like connected?
perpetually. Like
Yeah.
you pick, yeah.
I
What you
don't
want to
know.
play.
I don't know. Like, I think you're.
A lot of people have a lot of businesses running in that thing.
Yeah.
They have a lot of games they play. I don't think people are going to want to lose all of that hard
I
work.
think you're right, but I don't think they're going to want to build the game that they intend to support for the next 10 years on the bones of a game they built 10 years ago.
No, yeah, well, I mean, you might have like a launcher that launches either of them. I don't know.
Maybe
that's not the route. Maybe they do what they're doing with Warzone. So it's like you leave the old one up and you have Warzone 2. And like it's GTA Online, but this one's in Vice City.
I think that's what makes the most sense. And maybe what you do is you eventually bring back, Los Santos from GTA 5 and you make a modern version of some of that legacy content or something like that. And like, if you do have businesses, if you do have resources, whatever, right? Like you get the Splatoon 2 thing where it's like, okay, I'm joining GTA Online 2 and I'm going to move that account over and I get some, shark bucks or whatever the fuck they, like I forget what they're calling.
Just dollars, you get shark cards.
Shark cards, right? Okay. And you know what I mean? Like, they give you some kind of like, oh, you're a legacy player. Like, you played GTA 5 all this time, so you get whatever.
Yeah, here's a business you can have.
But it's also like with that, right? I feel like they probably want people to start on an even playing field again. Like, I feel like they must want a clean slate when you think about.
Yeah, quite possibly. But you don't really start on an even playing field anyway, because you can buy the deluxe version now, and you can buy shark cards, and
right.
you get extra shit anyway. So if you're rewarding players who were pretty invested into GTA Online or within GTA 5, I think it makes sense to just give them a little bit of something, a little bit of sugar to bring them over to the new game. I wonder if they'll do the separate purchases at launch, because on the PS5 and Series X versions of GTA 5,
you can buy just online.
Buy GTA Online if you want it. I wonder if they'll do that, or if it's going to be nope, you got to pay $70, and this is the copy you get, and it comes with online.
I think they'll probably do it that way. Because they did that with
people are going to buy it anyway.
Yeah, and they did that with Red Dead Redemption as well. Like that was with Red Dead 2 that works that way. You can because I was thinking
online's dead now.
I was thinking yeah, they took it down, but it's still listed that way in the store. I was thinking about buying it a while ago because it was on sale, and they had like and it was like Red Dead Redemption 2 story mode, and I was like, what? Like, can I just buy the story mode? Is that cheaper? And it was like, this requires you to have Red Dead Redemption 2 or whatever. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why?
I like that on Xbox though, that you can download just the piecemeal components you want, because I did that with the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah,
I just downloaded the bits.
It's cool, but like with buying stuff, it's weird. Like that is like to be like, which one do I fucking need, right? Because like I saw that with the story mode, it had really low ratings on the Xbox store, and I was like, why does it have all these low stars? Like, what's going on here? And every comment was, this isn't the game. You can't play the game. You can't buy. Like, you got to buy the full game. And it's just like, this is confusing. This is clearly confusing people, thinking that they can just pay for the story mode if they don't want the online, right? And like, that's not an option. But you can buy just the multiplayer if you just want. It's like, why the fuck is that? Why does it work that way, right? Like, that seems ridiculous, but whatever, right? Like, that's more of a storefront issue than a problem with that as a thing.
Well, and it's also a business decision on their part. They probably could sell both separately, but I would imagine the upfront cost of buying it as a bundle really goes to fund the development of the game. Not that Rockstar short cash.
No, but it's like, that's not to get on a tangent about like, profitability and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, I do think it's funny when people are like, oh, like they could afford it. It's like, yeah, but like they're a business. Like this is like, they need to make money off of this. Like they need to do the thing that makes the most sense for the biggest number of players, right? And like, we know there are a ton of fucking people that play GTA 5 online, GTA Online, whatever, and have never played the story mode. ever.
Yes, there are. Yeah. And
Lots
those
of
people
them.
probably also do pay for it every single month with either GTA Plus or with the shark cards or other microtransactions. Like they're getting your money some way.
Yeah, right. I think the thing that's annoying is it would just be better if it was like, hey, do you want the complete version of the game with the story and everything? That's $70. You want to play the online? Free to play. That's what I hope they do with GTA
Yeah, I
2.
think that's probably the move, but they may also realize that they can eke 20, 30 quid out of people. And why not?
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you give them stuff, right? If it's like, it's $20 and you get a starter pack of like the equivalent of $10 worth of money or shark cards or whatever the fuck, right? Just to get you going. Like, that's not a bad deal, right? I don't really feel any kind of way about that. That's fine. But it feels like at this point Rockstar has recognized at least GTA, right? Because obviously Red Dead Online didn't catch on the same way. It's two very distinct products now, right? Like there's the folks that want the AAA, legacy story, right? And they want story DLC and they want what we are used to with the old GTAs, right? Like a lot of folks were really upset about that with GTA 5. It never got story DLC. The game's been the fucking GTA game for the last 10 years and it never got its own what was the big one? Ballad of Gay Tony, right? In 4 was like, that was a big expansion with a whole new story and all this new content. And like, I feel like that player's kind of underserved considering how much they focus on GTA Online. So it would be kind of cool if they would just be like, GTA Online is a free to play, it's its own thing, and you get extra content if you play the single player, or you get do like kind of like the Call of Duty thing, right? Where it's like Warzone is free, but if you get the annual Call of Duty release, you can play that and unlock guns or gear or whatever that you can then go use in the multiplayer. I think something like that would be cool. Like if there was some way for you to be like, yeah, they're separate, but if you want to interact with both.
They've announced that with Modern Warfare 3 tying into Warzone 2.0,
Yeah.
that a lot of the stuff that you can get in Modern Warfare 3 does carry through. And even in Splatoon 3, right? Weird comparison, but there's stuff in the story mode that you can use in the multiplayer. Like you'll unlock different guns, like you get the hero shot. There's like music that will carry through from there. There's like the tokens you can get to redeem at the canteen. So it's quite. I do quite like it when there is stuff that you can do in the story mode that benefits you in the multiplayer as well. I don't know if like The Last of Us Factions or anything did anything like that where it brought things through. I don't think it did, but
I don't think it did.
I'd like to see that in the new Last of Us game where some of the upgrades I did in single player, it would be cool if they carried through to multiplayer, but it doesn't always work that way.
Sure. But like, to me, that feels like a real example of like what we're talking about, right? Where it's like that I think is the ideal. I think you want to be in a situation where you can kind of you can have the two different halves feed into each other in a way that feels meaningful, where like if I am the person who only wants to play the single player stuff, that maybe incentivizes me to go check out the multiplayer, right? Or if I'm the person who's just fucks with multiplayer and you're like, oh, but I'll get this exclusive thing if I roll credits, like let me go play the game and engage with the story. And then maybe you get into that in a way you hadn't before, right? So that just seems like something that they should be thinking about, I think. I don't know, like maybe like the hope is that they do go the way of The Last of Us, right? Where it's like Factions is getting spun off into its own thing so that it can have more focus on it and that it's not just like a thing that's tied on to The Last of Us Part 2, right? It is its own thing with its own stories and its own characters. And like, I feel like GTA Online would benefit from that. Like they just did that whole story integration with like Dr. Dre and everything. And like, that was like a whole...
They do have like story stuff in there.
Right, yeah.
Are occasionally like events and things. It would be cool. And I think the ever expanding map, if that rumor turns out to be true, which by all intents and purposes it will, I feel like that's the perfect opportunity for them to do it. It's like, let's do another big story. Here's another map. You can expand your business. You can go out to here. You can do X, Y, and Z. These are all the things you can do in order to make money.
The thing I really like about that too is it incentivizes new players to jump on, because you can be like, oh, like the new city's coming out, and you can go play that campaign and play on that map, and then when you're done with everything there, go back and do the stuff from the original release that you never got to, and whatever, right? Like, it just seems like a smart way to do it. I'm very interested to see like what this actually looks like, because they had never expected GTA Online to be the juggernaut that it was, and to see them now like get a clean slate and be like, okay, well, what if we build this experience from the ground up to be what it became, rather than like, I remember what GTA Online was like at launch, and it was garbage. It was garbage. It was unplayable. And now it's the biggest game in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I also wonder on the timeline, does this become, if it gets pushed any later than 2024, 2025, if it's 2025, we're getting to the point where we're talking about the next generation. 2025, we're coming up to like 2026, 2027, if we're saying it's the 7-year life cycle again.
Yeah, not really though, right? You're like halfway through,
Yeah.
And it's like,
depends how long it takes.
Yeah. I think I have a feeling this generation is going to be longer, in the same way that the 360 PS3 one was, because there's been the difficulty of getting consoles out, but also we're experiencing record inflation and we're heading towards another recession, and those are the things that made that console generation artificially extend to double the length that it was supposed to. I bet you we will see that with the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. I really do. I think they will be around for a lot longer than we think.
I could see that, or we get to the point where generations become more and more meaningless,
like blurred.
We just
slowly
iterate on the hardware, and they become a little bit more powerful each time. With more mid-gen refreshes. Maybe we have a couple of mid-gen refreshes rather than a single one, and then we move on to the next one.
And like that's possible as well. But I mean, you think about it, right? We're 2 years into this life cycle, and I think we've barely even started to eke out what these consoles are really capable of. So
yeah, we've not touched it at all, really, because even Sony's hot new game that's coming out next month is a cross-gen title. I think.
Right.
Until we bin the last gen off, I don't think we can really truly understand what these consoles are capable of.
And with that in mind, I think that also artificially extends the life cycle a little bit. And when you think about with the GTA, right? Like GTA 5 came out at the end of 2 console generations ago, and it just got re-released 2 generations later. And so to me, it's like, even if it did come out at the tail end of this generation, it won't matter. Right? Like if it follows the same trajectory as GTA 5, that will not impact it at all.
Yeah.
It coming out and being the best experience it can be is going to be the deciding factor, not when it comes out or what hardware it comes out on. Especially when you think about like PC, right? Like it's like, who gives a shit, right? Like,
PC, like every Rockstar title will come later. They never release first on PC. It's really strange.
Usually like a year later or more.
Yeah.
Or never in the case of Red Dead Redemption, which still makes me mad because I want to replay that game on Steam Deck. But
RDR2's that, right? Isn't it?
Not 1 though, the original.
Oh no, that's not no.
And hot take, I like that game better, but I don't know that that's a hot take actually.
I don't think it is. No, I think the general consensus is Red Dead 2 is too long, and if it was more succinct,
it's a little too long.
It's
a little too long. It's still really good though. I fuck with that game heavy. I really liked it.
I just couldn't finish it because it was so long. I have that issue with the games all the time. I just wish they were like, I feel like that game could be 20 hours shorter and it would still be a good length.
And it would still be long, right? Like it was 20 hours shorter, it would still be like 60 hours. Like there's like a point in the story of that game where I was like, oh, we got to be getting to the end, huh? And then there was like a whole nother
and what's that, halfway, midway?
There's so much left after that. I was like, what, are you fucking kidding me? Like, there's this whole detour we're going to go on now. And it's nuts. It makes The Last of Us Part 2 look concise. Because that game also...
Oh, yeah. See, I had the same thing in that, right?
This never fucking ends.
Like, this is a really nice ending to the game. It's like, nah.
Like, no.
Go back for one more round.
There's like 10 hours left of this son of a bitch, and you're like, oh shit, okay, like let's buckle in, baby. And I love both of those games. It's not a problem that they're that long, but it is certainly like
it is a problem for me when I can't play them because they're that long, and because I need to play something new so I
You
can
got
talk about
no
something.
focus. You got no focus.
No, that is true. I don't when it comes to games.
All right, we're gonna end it there for today. If you want to let us know what you think about GTA 6 or Diablo 4 or leaks in general or whatever we talked about today, make sure you write into the show. Questions@flipscreen.games. If you want to find links for all the places you can get involved or write into the show, head over to flipscreen.games and give us a follow wherever you choose to. Come join our Discord. We've got a fun, inclusive group of gamers just like you out there. Chatting about leaks and all kinds of crazy shit. It's the chats have been lighting up lately because stuff's just happening left and right. So if you want to continue the conversation with us after the show ends, or you want to engage with all the members of the community who you hear writing into the show every week and all that good stuff, no better place to do it than the Discord. Come be a part of what we're doing. And again, flipscreen.games. That's a website. You'll find the Patreon, the Twitch channel, the second YouTube channel, all that good stuff. However you choose to get involved, wherever you come and find us, wherever you come and hang, we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of the Flip Screen Games podcast. I've been Pete. He's been Steve. See you next week.